You thought you could hide this from me. These papers confirm everything about OMA 134.
I swear I don't know what you're talking about. Get out!
The rain hammered against the window like fists demanding entry. But it was the click of my bedroom door that shattered the silence of my solitary night. I bolted upright in bed, heart slamming against my ribs. The dim glow of my laptop screen, the only sentinel in the empty apartment. There he stood, a stranger, drenched coat dripping onto the hardwood, his silhouette cutting through the shadows like a blade, eyes locking onto mine with an intensity that stole my breath and whispered promises of chaos. "Who the hell are you?" My voice cracked, raw from disuse after days of isolation. But I gripped the edge of the mattress, forcing steel into my spine. He didn't flinch, didn't bolt like any sane intruder might. Instead, he stepped forward, the faint scent of wet asphalt and cigarette smoke trailing him like a ghost. And in that moment, I knew this wasn't theft, it was reckoning. "Alex," he said, my name rolling off his tongue like he'd rehearsed it in the dark alleys of Brooklyn. "I'm Jordan, and I'm here because your father sent me." Before he died, the words hung in the air, heavier than the storm outside, pulling me in like a riptide. My father, gone 3 months now. His absence a hollow echo in this cramped walk-up I'd called home since the divorce papers hit last year. I'd buried the grief under freelance deadlines and takeout containers, convincing myself solitude was safety. But this man, with his jaw set like carved granite and rain-slicked hair falling into eyes that held storms of their own, had just cracked open a vault I'd sealed shut. How did he know my name? And my father, stoic, distant Tom Hargrove, the man who'd built bridges across the Hudson but never crossed the one to his only son. What final secret had he whispered to this intruder that demanded breaking into my life at 2 a.m.? I should have called the cops. Should have lunged for the phone on the nightstand, its screen still lit from the half-hearted grinder scroll I'd abandoned hours ago, chasing ghosts of connection in pixels instead of flesh. But something in Jordan's gaze rooted me, a flicker of recognition. Not just to me, but the ache we both carried, invisible tattoos from battles fought in silence. He was older than me by a few years, maybe early 30s, his frame solid under that jacket, like he'd shouldered more than his share of the world's weight. A journalist, I guess from the notebook peeking from his pocket, the kind who digs until the truth bleeds. "Sit," I finally managed, nodding to the rickety chair by my desk, piled with sketches of half-formed logos for clients who'd never see the queer undertones I wove into every line. My hands trembled as I pulled on a hoodie, the fabric soft against skin still warm from restless sheets. He hesitated, then complied, the chair creaking under him like a confession. Up close, he was even more arresting, stubble shadowing a strong jaw, green eyes flecked with gold that caught the lamplight, lips pressed thin against whatever war raged inside him. "Your father didn't have much time left," Jordan started, voice low and gravel rough, laced with an accent that hinted at upstate roots, far from the city's grind. "Cancer ate him quick, but he tracked me down a week before the end. Said I was the only one who could make this right." He pulled an envelope from inside his jacket, yellowed and sealed with wax that bore my family's crest, a bridge arched over turbulent waters. Ironic now. "He left this for you, but not without conditions. He wanted me to deliver in person. To tell you. Everything." I snatched it, fingers brushing his electric, unintended, sending a jolt that had nothing to do with fear. The paper was thick, Personal stationery from the firm where Dad had engineered marvels until his hands shook too much to hold a blueprint. My name scrawled in his looping script, Alexander, read with an open heart. Heart. Mine had been boarded up since college. Since the night I'd come out to him over lukewarm Thanksgiving turkey. His silence louder than any rejection. We'd patched it with awkward calls, but never mended. And now this. Tearing it open, the words blurred through unshed tears. Son, if you're reading this, Jordan's told you. I was wrong about so much. He knows the truth I hid for 40 years. Forgive me. Build the bridge I couldn't. Love, Dad. Truth? What truth could bridge the chasm between us? I looked up, throat tight. What does he mean? You knew him how? Jordan leaned forward, elbows on knees, the vulnerability cracking his facade like lightning through clouds. I'm not just a messenger. Alex, your father. He hired me 6 months ago to find you, not because you were lost, but because he was. And in digging, I found something that ties us all. His eyes searched mine, a depth there that pulled at threads I didn't know were loose. Your dad wasn't the man you thought. He had a life before your mom. A love. One he buried deeper than any foundation he poured. The room spun, the rain a relentless drumbeat mirroring my pulse. A love? Dad, with his pressed khakis and Sunday sermons at the Methodist Church. The one who nodded stiffly in my pride flag freshman year, but never waved one himself? Impossible. Yet Jordan's certainty was an anchor in the storm, his presence filling the empty spaces I'd let fester. I wanted to rage, to shove him out into the night. But instead, I whispered, "Tell me." He did, haltingly at first, then with the fervor of someone unburdening his soul. It started in the 80s, upstate New York, where Tom Hargrove, fresh out of engineering school, met Elias Kane at a dive bar off Route 17. Elias, fiery, artistic, with a laugh that could thaw winter, was everything Tom wasn't, out and proud in a world that punished such fire. They fell hard, stealing weekends in hidden cabins, dreaming of a life beyond the shadows. But AIDS loomed like a specter, and when Elias tested positive, Tom panicked. He proposed to Sarah, your mom, 2 months later, fleeing to the city, burying Elias in letters he never sent. Jordan's voice thickened. Elias was my uncle. Raised me after his family turned him out. He never stopped loving your dad. Alex died holding that bridge pendant, whispering Tom's name. When your father reached out, guilt-ridden on his deathbed, he confessed everything. Hire me to track Elias's stories, his art, proof of what they had, and to give it to you so you'd know love like theirs was possible. Real. Worth fighting for. Tears burn hot now, carving paths down my cheeks. Uncle? A gay uncle I'd never known, whose hidden romance mirrored the one I'd starved myself of since Mark left, calling me too sensitive for his straight-passing facade. Jordan watched me unravel, his hand hovering near mine, not touching but close enough to feel the heat. Why you? I choked out. Why not mail it? Because he saw in me what he saw in Elias, Jordan admitted, gaze dropping. A second chance. I'm, like you, out, but scarred. Lost my partner to a hate crime 2 years back. Your dad thought maybe we'd understand each other. The admission hung between us. fragile as the envelope crinkling in my fist. Understand? More than that, a spark, dangerous and alive, igniting in the wreckage of revelation. The stranger who'd invaded my sanctuary wasn't a threat. He was a mirror, reflecting the parts of me I'd hidden, the love I'd denied. Outside, thunder rolled, but inside, the storm shifted toward something warmer, wilder. We talked until dawn crept in, gray light filtering through blinds like hesitant forgiveness. Jordan shared Elias's sketches, fierce, loving portraits of a young Tom, bridges drawn not of steel but of intertwined hands. I showed him my own work, digital layers of men embracing against city skylines, dreams I'd coded into pixels. Laughter slipped in, tentative, then free, his deep chuckle rumbling like bass notes against my skin. By the time his coat dried by the radiator, the space between us had shrunk. Chairs pulled close, knees brushing in silent accord. But peace was fleeting. As he gathered his things, a knock echoed, sharp, insistent. Through the peephole, 2 suits from Hargrove Engineering, faces I'd seen at Dad's funeral, murmuring about estate matters and unresolved claims. Jordan tensed, whispering, "They don't know about Elias. Your dad kept it from the firm, afraid it'd ruin his legacy. Lies upon lies. A house of cards teetering." I let them in, Jordan melting into the bedroom shadows like he'd never been. The suits droned about inheritance, Dad's shares, but only if I signed away personal discrepancies. Discrepancies? My blood ran cold. They'd sniffed out the scandal. Or worse, fabricated it to seize control. "We'll need time," I said, voice steady despite the quake inside. They left with clipped nods, but their eyes lingered, predatory. Door shut. Jordan emerged, face grim. "They're circling because of the will's addendum, Elias's art collection. Will to you through your dad. Worth a fortune, but it outs everything. If it leaks, the firm's board, old money conservatives, will bury it. And you." Fear coiled, but so did resolve, his hand finally finding mine, fingers lacing with a gentleness that belied his strength. "We fight this," he murmured, thumb tracing my knuckles, sending shivers up my arm. "Together. For them, for Elias and Tom." In that touch, the hook of the night deepened, pulling us into uncharted depths. What began as intrusion bloomed into alliance. The stranger's revelation, not just words, but a lifeline. As we pored over documents by the window, shoulders brushing, the city awakening below, I felt it, the first stirrings of something profound. A love forged in secrets and rain, promising to rebuild what time had torn. Yet shadows lengthened. That afternoon, my phone buzzed with an anonymous text. "Stay away from the truth, or lose everything." Jordan's jaw tightened as he read it over my shoulder, his breath warm on my neck. "They're not bluffing," he said, but his eyes held fire, not fear. We slipped out into the drizzle-slick streets of Manhattan, dodging tails in coffee shops and subways, piecing together Elias's legacy like a mosaic of stolen moments. By evening, holed up in his Hell's Kitchen loft, a writer's den stacked with yellowed clippings and half-empty whiskey bottles, we uncovered more. Elias's journals, digitized by Jordan, painted vivid strokes, clandestine drives to Niagara Falls, where they danced under stars. Tom's engineering mind plotting escapes from societal chains. He wanted to come out, Jordan read aloud, Voice husky. But fear won. Until you, Alex, his pride in raising a son brave enough to live openly. Brave? I'd hidden behind screens, flinging hookups like lifelines to numb the void. Until now. Jordan set the tablet aside, our faces inches apart, the air thick with unspoken want. "You're braver than you know," he whispered, and when his lips brushed mine, tentative, then fierce, it was revelation anew. Salt and smoke, his stubble grazing my skin, hands roaming with the urgency of men starved for truth. We tumbled to the couch, clothes shedding like old skins, bodies aligning in rhythms born of shared wounds. It wasn't just release, it was reclamation. In the tangle of limbs and gasps, I saw Elias and Tom, their ghosted passion fueling ours. Jordan's murmurs against my throat. I've chased stories, but this, "You're the one I want to write," shattered me, rebuilding in waves of ecstasy. Afterward, curled against his chest, heartbeat sinking to mine, the world outside faded. For the first time since Dad's call, I wasn't alone. But dawn brought siege. The suits returned, backed by lawyers and a private who'd tailed us from my place. They pounded on Jordan's door, voices barking about embezzlement and defamation suits if we pursued the will. Inside, we armored up, me in button-down borrowed from his closet, smelling of him, Jordan in crisp shirt, notebook in hand like a weapon. We go public, he decided, eyes blazing. Elias's story, your dad's regret. Let the world see the humanity they want to erase. The press conference was a gauntlet. Reporters swarmed City Hall steps, flashes blinding as Jordan laid it bare. Love defying eras. A father's final atonement. I stood beside him, voice steady. This isn't about money. It's about honoring loves hidden too long. My father's bridge wasn't just steel, it was to all of us. Reaching across divides we build ourselves. Murmurs rippled, then cheers. Allies emerging from the crowd, queer activists, old colleagues of Elias's. The suits slunk away, their threats hollow against the tide. But victory tasted bittersweet. That night, back in my apartment, now ours, boxes of Elias's art arriving like long-lost kin, Jordan held me as sobs racked my frame. I miss him, I confessed. And Elias. The years stolen. He kissed my temple. Fierce. We steal them back. Every day, every touch, in the quiet. We made plans, not just survival, but thriving, a gallery for Elias's work, a foundation for queer legacies. My designs funding it all. Love, it turned out, wasn't the revelation, it was the revolution. Months blurred into healing. Jordan's byline graced front pages. Our story igniting dialogues in diners and boardrooms. I sketched openly now, curves of men unapologetic, his form my muse. We walked the Brooklyn Bridge at sunset, hands clasped, Dad's creation beneath us a testament to endurance. One evening, under stars peeking through smog, Jordan knelt, not with rings, but a pendant, the bridge. Elias's, rest strong. "Marry me?" he asked, grin crooked. Build forever. Tears blurred him, joy sharp as the first rain. "Yes," I breathed, pulling him up into a kiss that spanned lifetimes. In the end, the stranger hadn't broken in, he'd broken through. What he revealed wasn't just a past, it was permission to claim a future, woven in threads of courage and caress. Love, defiant, deep, the ultimate truth.